Do you sometimes get overwhelmed with the destructive emotions of self-pity and resentment? And if you do, I've got some news for you. It's not about them. You're allowing it to eat you up alive. What did I say? Did Patty just say that it's not the cause of somebody else that I feel resentful? That's exactly what I'm saying. And listen up as I share with you some of the tools that I've learned from some of my great teachers, Joe Dispenza, Eckhart Tolle, Don Miguel Ruiz, Michael Singer, and how it's helped me to overcome my emotions, my destructive emotions of self-pity and resentment. You see, when I was a little girl, about 14 years old, there was a time when my mom had gone out and bought me 6 pairs of shoes. And when she brought them home, I was not appreciative. As a matter of fact, they were ugly, number one, and number two, not one of them fit. And I complained about it. I spoke up for myself like a 14-year-old would, unappreciated, unappreciating for all the efforts that my mom had done. And then I was beaten. Not only was I beaten, but I was told I had to wear those shoes. And I had the blisters and everything. And I was filled with pity, a lot of self-pity, and a lot of resentment. And I hated it. I absolutely hated it. But guess what? That wasn't the only time. You see, what happened was it was a pattern. It was a pattern that I had since I was a little girl that my parents would do. My mother would do something and my stepfather would punish me. And then I would feel resentful and pitiful, really self-pity. And I would sit in sadness all the time. And what had I done? I had practiced the emotions and the pattern of self-pity, of resentment, that I can't get what I want. And then I project that crap onto other people. So this is what I've had to learn to do. And the first thing was just to become aware of the pattern, and it took me years to get there. And thanks to this book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, I started looking at how I was thinking, how I was feeling, how I was behaving, how I was showing up in the world. So if I think I'm being a victim, I feel like I'm being a victim, and I act like I'm a victim. And then people will respond to that. And then, so I started watching myself and observing myself and feeling how much self-pity and resentment I had towards other people, when in fact it was just a repeated pattern. So Michael Singer talks about how when things come into our lives, we judge it either good or bad. We either hate it or we love it. And in that part, as it comes into our 3D experience, all this data and this information comes in, there is a choice where we can actually accept it or let it go through. If we can't let it go through, it's a moment for us to say, this is as it is, not how I want it to be. And that's my practice every single day, multiple times a day when I am not liking something. This is as it is, not the way I want it to be. And then from that place, I can move into, I don't have to take this personal. This is what that person did. That is just who they are. I don't have to make it about me, and to accept it as it is. And the more I complain about it, the more I'm being a victim. And the more I'm being a victim, the more chemicals of those cortisol and adrenaline is coming through. And my body, and I am literally poisoning myself when I am in resentment and when I am in self-pity. And a lot of times I just want people to see what's going on with me when I'm complaining. You really only need to share it once and then let it go. Because in that complaining, that's what Eckhart Tolle says. He says, when you complain, you either try to change it, and if you can't, it's all madness. It's all insanity. So those are some of the tools you can use when you find yourself in that place of self-pity and resentment against somebody else. It is your choice not to take it on. but it takes a lot of work, commitment, and dedication. And that's why I have this channel. And if you like this kind of content, I would love it if you would subscribe and share it with somebody who could possibly use it. And maybe put in a comment below if this resonates with you. Today I'm reading from One Day at a Time in Al-Anon. If I can see myself clearly and honestly in relation to my present circumstances, I will not become the victim of self-pity or resentment. If I do what I could, I will be at peace with myself. It is only when I compare my lot in life with that of others that the destructive emotion of self-pity is allowed to engulf me. It is only by taking offense at what others do that I will be afflicted with resentment. If I feel what I am doing is right, I will not be dependent on the admiration or applause of others. It is gratifying, but not essential for my contentment. I will learn to judge my own motives, to evaluate my own actions, so that little by little, I can bring them into line with my standards and ideals. And nothing has the power to hurt my feelings and stir up unwholesome emotions in me unless I allow it. I will do that, what is given me to do. I will do it as well as I can, and that will be my inner security against which all outside battering will be powerless. That's a really big way of saying, all right, bring it on. But you know what? I got this. I can handle it. And really you can. And I really want you to know that you are not the victim of somebody else's behavior unless you choose it. So you can either accept it or change yourself. You can remove yourself from the situation, which I've done many times before because it wasn't loving to me. And here's the bottom line. Ask yourself, when you're in your self-pity, is this loving to me? And the answer is no. And you can just say, I'm just going to love myself today. And this is really what I want you to do too. This is the second piece of this, is that I have compassion now for that 14-year-old who was so upset and so sad. I have compassion for her because she didn't really have any choice as a child. She has a choice as an adult. And if I can love that part of me who was so neglected and abused, and I can be gentle with her, and I can put my loving arms around her and say, I've got you. Everything's going to be okay. You know, life just gets a little bit better and a little bit easier. I love you.